In a quiet town in the United States, every evening an old man came to sit on the same wooden bench in the park. No matter if it was raining, snowing, or freezing cold, he always came alone. People walked past him every day. Some looked at him for a second or then kept moving. To everyone else, he was just another lonely old man. But nobody knew the truth. His name was Walter, and he was once one of the richest men in the city. He owned huge pieces of land, luxury homes, and more money than most people could dream of. But money couldn't buy the one thing he wanted most: love. Years earlier, Walter's wife had passed away. After that, everything changed. His children slowly stopped visiting him. At first, they called less often. Then they only showed up when they needed money. And eventually, they disappeared completely. The mansion that once felt alive became painfully silent. The dining table made for 10 people was now used by one lame man. Walter tried everything to reconnect with his children. He bought expensive gifts, paid off debts, even transferred properties into their names. But nothing changed. Because the sad truth was they loved his money more than they loved him. So one day, Walter stopped trying. Instead of sitting inside his giant empty house, he started spending his evenings at the park. That park bench became the only place where he didn't feel trapped by memories. Then one cold autumn evening, everything changed. A thin 16-year-old girl quietly sat beside him. She looked tired. Her clothes were old, and her eyes carried a sadness far beyond her age. Walter looked at her gently. "You should be home," he said softly. The girl stared at the ground for a moment before answering. "I don't really have one." Walter's heart sank. Her name was Emma. She had lost her mother years ago. Her father abandoned her shortly after. Since then, she had been surviving alone, working small jobs after school just to eat. Walter didn't know why, but for the first time in years, he felt understood. After that evening, Emma started coming back every day. At first, they barely talked. Sometimes they just sat quietly watching the sunset. But slowly, their conversations grew longer. Emma would tell him about school. Walter would tell her stories about life. For the first time in a very long time, Walter started smiling again. And for the first time in her life, Emma felt like someone truly cared about her. Days turned into months. Months turned into 2 years. During those 2 years, Emma became the closest thing Walter had to family. She reminded him to eat, brought him coffee on cold mornings, helped him walk when his knees hurt, and most importantly, she stayed. Not because of money. Not because she wanted anything. She simply cared about him. One winter night, Walter became very sick. His breathing grew weak. His hands shook constantly. Emma panicked. "We need to get you to a doctor," she said. But Walter quietly shook his head. "It's too expensive." Emma looked shocked. She knew Walter lived alone, but she had no idea he was wealthy. To her, he was just a lonely old man. That night, Emma went home and grabbed a small pink piggy bank from under her bed. Inside were all the savings she had collected over the years. Money she planned to use for college someday. For a moment she hesitated. Then she whispered, "He matters more." And she smashed the piggy bank on the floor. The next morning, Emma placed every dollar into Walter's trembling hands. "Please," she said through tears. "Use this for your medicine." Walter stared at the money silently. His eyes slowly filled with tears. Not because of the amount, but because nobody had ever sacrificed something so valuable for him before. Not even his own children. That night after Emma left, Walter sat alone in his dark room thinking for hours. And for the first time in years, he cried. A few weeks later, Emma arrived at the park like always. But Walter wasn't there. The bench sat empty beneath the falling snow. Emma's heart started racing. "Walter?" she called softly. No answer. Then she noticed a small box resting on the bench. Inside was a handwritten letter. Her hands trembled as she opened it. "Dear Emma, when the world forgot me, you sat beside me. When my own family abandoned me, you treated me like I still mattered. For 2 years, you gave an old man something money could never buy. Love." Emma wiped tears from her face as she kept reading. Then suddenly, her expression changed completely. "Everything I own is now yours." Emma froze. She continued reading in disbelief. "My house, my land, my savings, all of it now belongs to you." Her breathing became heavy. She didn't understand. Why would a man leave his entire fortune to a girl who wasn't even related to him? Then she read the final part of the letter. "My children wanted my wealth, but you wanted me. That is why you deserve everything they never did." Emma burst into tears. At that moment, she realized something she would never forget. Sometimes the people who love us the most aren't connected by blood. They're the ones who stay beside us when everyone else walks away. And every winter after that, Emma returned to the same old bench with fresh flowers in her hands. Not to remember a rich man, but to remember the only person who ever truly felt like family. Do you meet someone? Comment on this video and subscribe my channel for more interesting videos.